This time it's the AFL Round 1 review. Guys, I don't know how I do this every year. The last 3 years, I'm pretty sure, well, this year and then the last 2, I've absolutely stunk up Round 1, and then I just feel like I get too creative making up ground, and I just never do it. Yeah, it's a bit disappointing. The 2,170, I was still moving pieces even right up until the very end. And just really slapped me in the face. Starting at 85,000, that's just insane. If we jump to the team, oh my goodness, we're not going to do that. I hope nobody saw that because I'm going to quickly undo those changes. So nobody saw that. This is how the team actually looked. Look, didn't play Grill on field. Lost some points there. Not a big deal at the end of the day. What is a big deal is goddamn SPRAYSHAW. Brother. Are you serious? 47? Now, don't get me wrong. I know he had like 7 clangers and 3 frees against. And in the first, I'm pretty sure this was like by like 10 minutes into the second quarter, he'd already had 5 of those clangers. Like, it's one of those things that when you just get that many clangers so early, it's so hard to piece together a score. I mean, hypothetically, even if 3 of those are kicks that clanged -4 instead of hitting targets +4, you know, it's 12 extra points. Sorry, I mean, it's 8 actually for the swing, because 4 for the, so ends up like 24 extra points. He's at 71, and we're upset, but we probably get over it. Like, it just sucks. Obviously, I don't know, when I look at this team, we'll try and sort of talk about it overall, and then we'll quickly go like how it went. But I don't feel that bad, to be fair. I don't feel that bad overall. We're about 400 points behind the leader. That sucks. The guys that went big were the guys that paid up. They got Bont, they got Dacos, they got they got the big dogs. They paid up for it, and not something I did. It's a little unfortunate that we do have this open round where, as we know, I try and stick away from these buy players unless they do have a significant amount of upside. And unfortunately, that's just so many of the big dogs this season. So it's just put me on a back foot to start. Look, the only thing I can say here is, on a technical, let's just say hypothetically, Nick Dacos, walk at a 123 or something. Now he has a bye, meaning you're going to get a rookie score. So rookies are pretty good. Let's say hypothetically you put out a 70 for that. Okay, that's not too bad. That's 23 more points than Brayshaw this week, meaning Brayshaw just needs to get like a 146 to kind of break even with like a Dacos, if that's the case. That's not much. 146 just needs to put 100 points on what he got this week. So I know that sounds like me being super salty, but in reality it's true. Like, if the next 2 weeks Brayshaw goes bonkers, it's fine. Like, it's fine. Unless we trade him right now and cement our losses, it's fine if he bounces back. So, it just sucks. Obviously, Laird did this a couple of years ago. Might even been, it wasn't last year, probably the year before. He dropped a 50 at the start of the season, and everyone was like, what the hell is the most expensive player in the game? This is very similar. The difference is when Laird did it, like 60% of the comp owned him, so like everyone kind of felt it. Brayshaw's like 8% owned or some shit. Like, he's a huge pod for me, and this just devastating. And we can basically see it. That's what's devastating. We have Brayshaw underperforming, Oliver underperforming. They're 2 pretty big pods for my side, and paid up a lot of money for them together, over 1.1 million, and together, what did they get? 116? That just ain't good enough. Like, that's as much as Jaeger. Like, that's just bonkers. But yeah, I mean, we look at the team, we can see a few parts moved. Like, this was really unfortunate. We had Fonte, and then we flipped in the Parish at the last second, which isn't too bad. I don't mind that. And then we flipped Hayden Young down to Caniglio, and I know you're sitting there like, Vern, didn't you release a video saying you're all about picking roll, and you picked Caniglio? What the hell happened there? There was a little bit of fear. I saw Joshy, our boy JG, had posted something about being scared of Hayden Young's Tog potentially coming off an injury. They weren't even sure if he's going to play. He gets up. What's his Tog going to be like? We've already seen players have like 50% Tog in some of these games, being used as like a pseudo sub where they just they play all game, but they just do low percentage throughout the game. Obviously, Pies are doing that. We did have Sharp sort of Essendon, 54% TOG there. And it's one of those things where a lot of the TOG hasn't been super high because I don't know if it's just the extra player, but Tog overall just has been a bit down, I feel. And I did get a bit scared of Young maybe, returning from this injury, maybe got parked a bit forward and didn't play enough Tog to actually justify the pick. At the end of the day, he ended up like a house on fire, and then we got bailed out by him getting stuck full forward for the fourth quarter and not touching the ball and literally scaling back like 15 points. Thank the Lord for that, because otherwise we were going to be in trouble considering he was like 90 at three-quarter time. At the end of the day, I think Young ended up on like 73 or something. I don't even know what Young ended up on. Just going to quickly click on him. 80. So he got 20 more points than Cogs. At the end of the day, let's think about that. That's not that bad. 20 points sucks, but it's not that bad. And Cogs already has a 123 in his cycle. He's actually got a 0 on his break even. If he drops 60, he goes up 27k. So let's say hypothetically, him and Clary bounce back because, well, dogs just, they're Supercoach pigs. They just eat up all the Supercoach points that there's just none to go around for the opposition side. So that just, I think maybe just a bit of a bad matchup. We saw them do it in open round. We know they're capable. This week they come into Saints, who are down 0-2. It's a game at home. Hopefully they bounce back, get some decent scores, and then it's fine. Worst case scenario, they drop like say Cogs drops like a 70 again or something like that. Then we can always just move him to Young. Hopefully he gets 35k and it's really just a direct sideways. If that ends up being the play, so it's not the end of the world. And something else with that play was when I made that play, I did also go Goulden up to Sinclair when I moved Fonte down to Parrish, which overall, as I said, that technically gave me 10 points from Fonte over Parrish, and then Sinclair ended up 10 points over Goulden. So he ended up making 20 points off that play, so it makes up for the 20 we lost on Cogs. And the difference on top of that is Goulden obviously gets injured, so actually pretty big in that sake. So yeah, Sinclair's doing as he wants in that back line. We like that. Rosie and Butters, who expected this? Who expected North to come out and ruffle stomp them? It's really unfortunate too, because right before the game I was considering track as the C. Look, I'm sure lots of people were considering a lot of things. I was considering track, chose not to do track, and go with Butters. The other reason that we did go down the Cogs, the extra money that it freed up, I was kind of sitting. So before we went Goulden down and then like up to get Sinclair, I was sitting without the Cogs money. I was sitting in this awkward position where I didn't have, like, it was just under Clark's money. And then I was kind of looking at Laird, maybe considering Worrell. I think I was going to go in the Laird angle and then decided to go down and get Sinclair instead. So I think this is all fine. It just sucks because, just Brayshaw goes up to, like, just hypothetically, so wrong. You switch those two around, 100 extra points when nobody's even blinking an eye. Oliver, even hypothetically to a win, like Windy, you get an extra 40 points. 140 points, we go to 23-30, and, I'm like 10k and it's perfectly fine. So it's not a big deal. It just sucks that round one this happened. Hypothetically, as a next round, if Brayshaw and Oliver bounce back and go massive next round, there's a chance that we completely flip the script, It doesn't really matter what they scored this week, as much as it's painful, as it only if I was to trade them and consolidate the losses. If they do, over the next 3 weeks, manage to bring their averages, Brayshaw's average back to, let's say, towards 100, Oliver maybe pushes it a bit above 100, that would be cool. Then it's fine. Then, it's all fine. It's all gravy. So, yeah, it just stings to look at round one. I just can't believe that happened. Really, really bloody hurt. But I guess that's how the team ended up at the end of the day. Overall, not bad. Sucked to get Murdoch on this side. We did end up going sharp down the Murdoch, which was pretty huge at the end of the day. And it means we don't have to burn a trade this week. Well, honestly, when I look at my team, I think there isn't really any trading that needs to happen. I obviously did a bit of a rant about Walsh earlier in the week, but I'm perfectly fine with Walsh. It's fine. I mean, at the end of the day, he's outperformed my other premiums quite significantly, so Walsh is so fine, bro. But yeah, this week's pretty straightforward, just in the sense that we obviously throw Carroll and Blamires on field, and then we can keep Murdoch with the emergency to use Walsh as a loophole. I think this week, Track, who's clearly in some insane form, the 170 and then the 150. I mean, obviously West Coast was the easy matchup, but doing against Geelong the week before, they get Tigers this week, he probably does it again, so we VC him. Worst case scenario, I think we see Cherry, who was... We saw Wits absolutely torching West Coast, so I think Cherry will do a similar thing. I'm happy that we went for this ruck line. It looks like this is going to be solid. Jackson really the only one that outperformed them this week. But it looks like these two will be really solid rucks. And it looks like maybe the top 4 rucks, maybe there won't be that much of a discrepancy at the end of the day. Look, it sucks that Cherry got smashed in center bounce. There's basically no way he gets points at the center bounce itself, outside, like, on the actual ruck contest. Once the ball hits the deck, he gets tackles, he gets the hard ball gets, he gets hand passes, contested possessions. He does all those good things you need to do. And I think the ruck contest, I did say this when I was looking at starting Cherry and Gorn, is that I think it actually looks fine. The amount of ruck contests we're getting is going to be perfectly fine. So I think the structure's good. The rookies are good in reality. Like, if I actually look at, like, I go to players and break evens, we basically have all the rookies that you want to start. Like, literally look at this, straight down to, like, number 12, and then 13 are the, like, the ones that we don't have, but, you know, you gotta have team balance. And I think Myers and Todd Marshall, to be fair, you do want them. They've just only played 1 game, unlike a lot of these guys that have played 2. So, yeah, in reality, we got all the rookies we want. We feel good about this. If Selwood doesn't work out, he gets another poor score, you can always pivot him to potentially another rookie. Saying that, you would need some DPP to kind of move it. Dowling, I think, is the only other one that we're potentially interested in, but we obviously have the potential injury, the Philippou, and we had Todd Marshall, where Radigalia landed on his leg and just, like, bent it in a really awkward way. It wasn't pretty. Scobes did put a tweet out to someone that's, like, an injury expert or whatever on X, and he was saying probably 2 to 4 if it's, you know, mild grades. So that's sort of minimum. We're looking at 2 weeks. So there is a good chance that Marshall, if he ends up like 4 weeks plus, you probably just trade him and then you get him back as a rookie downgrade a little bit later. And that just means that obviously we get we get Dowling in the meantime. Obviously, I had Roberts on the bench as well, which kind of sucked. Murdoch we're never going to play on field, so that's fine. But look, at the end of the day, with the structure, I thought Marshall going into North, he would have a really good game, and he did. I lost 15 points over that move. That's perfectly fine. There's people that went Lombard over these two, so, like, it's perfectly viable. It sucks that, once again, Philippou got injured. And it sucks for me personally, because I already had such a terrible score coming out of Brayshaw. Like, if Philippou goes 100, great. We all get positive scores. For a lot of other people, Philippou going 27 means that, hey, in my case, my next lowest scoring was Brayshaw, so 20 points less, I guess, at the end of the day. I guess most people would have had Sarong, so probably 27. So I guess it's not that much of a difference. Outside of Barong, you know, Brayshaw just getting smashed by the other rocks. Sorry, Primos. But yeah, as I said, I think the team looks right. I think structure looks right. I think everything looks good. Philippou, it was a corky at the end of the day, so he might end up playing. He might not. I don't know what his break-even's at. It's 2. It's fine. If he plays, we keep him. If it's 1 week, we probably keep him. If it's more than that, if it's 2 weeks plus he goes into his bye, so then you do have to toss up, do we actually trade him? Wait the 3 weeks and get him back as potentially a rookie downgrade, that may be an option. So that's something that we may have to look at. But yeah, that's I guess what we're looking at. That's how the team is. As I said, it sucks, but I'm going to look at the glass half full. It's not the end of the world. Oliver Brayshaw bounced back this week. Brayshaw, we got him for more or less the good run after Geelong, saying that obviously Sarong and Jackson scored massively. Clark and Brayshaw were a bit down, but we got him for the good run afterwards. Optus into Melbourne is incredibly good matchup, I feel, and I think that'll be good. So I'm happy for that. And then we go into Richmond as well. I believe that's also at Optus. So yeah, Optus for Melbourne, Optus for Richmond. Adelaide at Adelaide Oval, I think, is fine for them. And then Collingwood at Adelaide Oval for Gather Round, I think, is really good for them too. And then West Coast at Optus, and Carlton, who's been terrible at Optus. Like, this run is so good, and that's why we wanted Freo players as much as they're not the most fantasy relevant players, because they just don't score fantasy points. But yeah, bounce back week. Hopefully Sarong, because of his great game, he gets attention, meaning that Brayshaw is able to go off the chain. Hopefully Clark manages to get a bit more involved in Optus Stadium, a bit more of an open ground, and just work it that way sort of thing. But yeah, I hope this works out. It'd be great if it does. Worst case scenario, look, Dan Houston was obviously incredible. You know, Nick Dacos has been incredible. After this week, those guys are no longer going to have that extra buy, and they can be guys that we pivot into. Let's say Clark isn't really working for us, unfortunately. Or even if it's someone like a Caniglio is not really working for us. So let's say Clark doesn't work, you go down to like a Houston, you can then move like maybe a Cogs potentially with my money. I do have, I think, 87k. Yeah, maybe you get him all the way up to like a day cost instead, sort of thing. Maybe Oliver goes to a day cost. Maybe we get Young in. We have a boost. We can potentially do a 3-way like that. So we can make it work. It's gonna be fine. Yeah, look, I would like to appreciate all those that have tuned in, liked, and subscribed for the consistent injections of Supercoach content directly into their YouTube feed. I will just quickly put a league code out there for those that have listened, because this league didn't actually get filled up, which I was a bit surprised about. So league code's just going to be 831892. It will be in the description down below. Yes, that's why I moved it away from that screen, because I didn't want you guys seeing like other random leagues I'm in and joining those. But yeah, that's going to be the team, guys. We're going to bounce back this week. It's going to be fine. Hawthorn Sydney is boring for me because I've only got Sarong. Unfortunate. I think captain options for this week, as I said, for me, it's very obvious. I'm going to go Track because of his current form into Cherry. Obviously, if you want to be using, I think, Bont, that's perfectly fine. Clearly good form from him. But I think Track and Anderson are too hard to go past. I think you definitely want to be VCing one of them as potentially high scorers of the round into Richmond. And then, yeah, you have, honestly, Sheasel most people have as the bounce back. And if you don't, then Cherry, incredible. Even Butters for a bounce back game into Essendon, who probably aren't going to be very good. So, yeah, hopefully it goes well. We'll pick it up from there, guys. But yeah, till then, peace, later.